up and ready to go. Brandon's excited to see you back. Fresh from a couple of days with his family in Disney World. How are we feeling?
Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to throw it to Kim a lot today.
Toss it back.
Kmart is ready to go. Domonique is up early with us this morning, and it is time for us. Oh, he's sad to be without us this morning, but we got lots to do. Let's go camping. Big story yesterday. Trey Hendrickson, Lewis, is expected to end his holdout and report to training camp today. There's not any indication, though, that a deal is imminent, so we could just be moving from the holdout to the hold-in. Here's my question. At what point does this whole business start to become something that impacts their season?
Look, every single day that you aren't practicing football and those quick change of direction movements, your body isn't getting acclimated to actually playing the game, you put yourself at greater and greater risk of suffering some kind of soft tissue injury once the season starts. Now, I know people say, hey, Aaron Donald missed the whole training camp and wound up having an MVP caliber season. Yeah, look, Aaron Donald is he's a freak. You've seen his videos. He's not normal. But this is what starts to concern me about this, is that the longer this goes, this is a guy you need on the football field, because without him, Greeny, they have no shot. He has to be all-pro caliber level. He has to be defensive MVP caliber level in order for this team to compete in the North.
And quickly, Domonique, I mean, we've gone over it time and again, but they are 1-11 in weeks 1 and 2 over their last 6 years. They are prone to slow starts, and this doesn't feel like a good way to get started really quickly right out of the blocks.
Absolutely not, but at least they've proven that they could bounce back from them slow starts. They could have gotten one of those early wins in their pocket. They would have made the playoffs last year. And we see for all these teams, including the Bengals, who consider themselves, I think, in their championship window, everyone needs a player like this. We've seen the Commanders go pick up Von Miller, who's not at his peak right now, but he's the type of player that can close games for you when you know it's a must-throw situation for the offense. So I think missing Trey is going to hurt them early in the season, and it may hurt them long term if he subjects himself to some sort of higher injury risk like Lewis was alluding to.
All right, so we'll see what winds up happening with him. Let's move to the next order of business from yesterday at camp. Kmart, I want you to watch this. The Kansas City Chiefs posted this clip of a Xavier Worthy touchdown from their training camp. The way the wording of the question is framed here is the Kansas City offense being overlooked? Are they going to be markedly better than they were a year ago?
I guess I have issue with the question, like, who is overlooking the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, please, step to the front of the room. I want to talk to you. Because this is a team that, as talented as their quarterback is, they have questions at tight end. Is Travis Kelce going to come back and sort of avenge the season that he had last year? The wide receiver depth is an issue with Hollywood Brown going down. In practice, you got Rashee Rice possibly facing suspension. Like, there are questions within this group, and also the protection of Patrick Mahomes. So you have legitimate questions about this group, but do you bet against the Chiefs ever? Does that ever work out in your favor?
I know someone who's not betting against the Chiefs. I brought this up to Louis Riddick this morning in our meeting, and I would describe you as bullish on KC's offense.
Yeah, just like the stock market.
Yeah.
Did you mention protection for Patrick Mahomes, Kimberly? Well, I would venture to say this. They drafted a guy named Josh Simmons out of Ohio State right there on the left side of your screen, number 71, who right now has been lights out in training camp. This dude, look, if you look at the videos, I may have talked to a person or two. I may have exchanged some messages with a person or two about how he has looked. They are ecstatic. It's early, but the guy looks like, in that 71, he looks like, dare I say, a baby Trent Williams. That's what he looks like. He had the best tape before he got hurt last season, and he suffered that catastrophic knee injury. But they have the best trainer in football, in Rick Burkholder, overseeing his rehab, and he is on his way. He is on his way. If this offensive line can be locked down,
I think
it is
got
lights
Domonique
out.
sold.
Either Dominique's camera froze with his face in that position, or he's just nonplussed. What is that, Nick?
I heard the name Trent Williams. We saw the impact that Trent Williams has on any offense. If you can add that to a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, the concept of not having to worry about the backside or left side of the line for Patrick Mahomes is unimaginable for how risky that could be for the rest of the teams in the league. I remember last year, Patrick Mahomes was backpedaling at certain points out of from under center because he couldn't trust the safety on the left side of that line. If you put Mahomes in a situation where, and Andy Reid, frankly, where they can open up the playbook. They don't have to have someone on the left side chipping. They don't have to only run quick stuff because they're afraid of Mahomes getting hurt. Putting him in that position makes it a lot easier for guys like Worthy who have long speed to impact the defense. I think it's pretty scary. We like to focus on the receivers, but you know, Greeny, it comes down often to the offensive line, and if they can protect Mahomes, I think Lou is right. This team is going to be back where they always are.
Well, Greeny, you know we're draft geeks, right? And remember we talked about, or I've talked about a guy named Brashard Smith from SMU who they drafted in the 7th round. Just check out his videos online. This guy is a former wide receiver who's now playing running back. He has been smoking people in training camp. They got speed out of the backfield. Xavier Worthy's developing. The offensive line's even better. They have nothing but dudes on defense. Kansas City got better. They got better. I'm just telling you.
Their offense really struggled. They may take it next level. Meanwhile, next order of business, Neek, is my favorite story of this entire training camp. I am more fascinated by Travis Hunter's attempt, and he's calling himself the unicorn, and well, he should. His attempt to become the first player in essentially 60 years to be a major contributor on both sides of the ball. He took reps at wide receiver yesterday. Neek, are you a believer that he can do what has not been done in the NFL since the 1960s?
I absolutely am a believer. Like, I choose to take the evidence that we have from what he was able to do in college and understand that sometimes there are athletes that are just unique. I know it's a long shot, and I do understand that it's going to take a toll on his body. But if that's something that he chooses to do, I mean, I see no reason to believe that he can. It seems that he's shown that he has the stamina to do that. I think it's going to be hard. Being great at both, now we're getting to a point where it's a little bit more difficult for me to believe, but I still think that the impact that he could have on both sides of the ball, and we're not looking, I don't assume we're looking for him to play 100% of the snaps on both sides of the ball. So like 80% here, 80% there, I think it's possible.
Okay, I'm going to leave it here. We're going to set aside some time a little later this morning to go deeply in. I know I can see Lewis and Kimberly both ready to jump out of their seats. We're going to dive deeply into the situation with Travis a little later this morning. But our next stop, I want to get us to Cleveland, where Shedeur Sanders continues to put in work primarily with backups, almost exclusively with backups at this point, with Joe Flacco taking all of the first-team reps so far with Cleveland. I want you to hear from Deion Sanders, obviously Shedeur's dad. He sat down with his old teammate Michael Irvin and discussed his plans to visit Shedeur at camp and why he has not.
He didn't want me to come. He's like, Dad, I may get 3-4 reps at practice. I don't want you seeing that. Like, come on, no, I'm not where I need to be. Let me get where I need to be. And it's so funny because this is his first time, man. Yeah. Ever. And he's dealing with it like a pro. Like he ain't mad, he ain't bitter. He's like, I got work to do, but I'm gonna put in this work. One thing, they're gonna have to let me play. Preseason gonna come. And when preseason come, watch me work. I'm like, I already know what you're gonna do. I ain't worried about that. I know. But he didn't want me to come.
That's interesting. Remember that Deion went to visit Shiloh at the camp last week, and we wondered when he would go to Cleveland, and there's the explanation for why he hasn't been there so far. What struck you about this?
Look, you can just tell that Shedeur really, Deion says he's dealing with it like a pro, and I believe it. But I'm telling you, that is hard. It is a grind to stand there and watch other people get reps and move from period to period to period, and you're not able to take part. Look, in my experience, at the beginning of training camp, everyone kind of gets worked in to the reps, into the rotations. And then as you get closer to preseason games, get closer to the regular season, they start to pare it down. You start to understand who the coaching staff, who the front office, who ownership are really counting on carrying the load for the rest of the regular season. If he's not getting reps now, as they start getting prepared for games, what are they going to do then? If he's not getting reps now, how is he going to earn more reps later is my point. Are you just going to throw him in the preseason games without him having reps with even the third, fourth team, second team at all? See, those are the things that just concern me this early in training camp. But look, I trust what I know and what Deion has told me and what I have experienced myself about the character of this young man as far from a football perspective. But I can tell you this, standing there and watching other people compete when you believe you're as good as them, look, Dom can tell you, that's the worst thing in the world. It just guts you. It wears on you mentally that why am I not getting in there? Because if you don't get in there, you have no shot.
I'll get to Nick in a minute, but Kmart, I want to come to you first as my reporter, and you know that division and that team so well. Do you have any sense of what the plan is there? Kenny Pickett's been hurt. Flacco getting the first team reps. They've got the 2 rookies. Do you have a sense of their plan?
So before the Pickett hamstring injury, I checked in, and the sense I was given was, the reps were kind of distributed the way we expected. The vets get the majority of the reps, meaning the two rookies, not just one rookie, two rookies, and Dillon, Gabriel also with Shedeur kind of having to get in where they fit in. The Pickett of it all is interesting because unfortunately for Kenny Pickett, the less time he's on the field, the less work he gets, and he's somebody who needs work as well. I think the next 2 weeks, the Browns are in Carolina next week, and then they're in Philly right after. I think the next 2 weeks, depending on where Pickett is, I don't want to say it'll go a long way in determining anything, but that's an opportunity for these young guys to kind of show a little bit more. But Louis, to your point, they're not getting a bulk of anything. And that's the troubling thing because they won't be able to be prepared.
Again, the early part of training camp, the first couple of practices, they really want to acclimate everyone. So in my experience, everyone gets at least a little bit of a cut of what's going on so you kind of know what you're supposed to do. Then it starts to taper. If at this point he's saying, look, Dad, I don't want you to come because I'm getting 3-4 reps per practice, I mean, that to me, look, if I really wanted to see what someone had as far as, whether or not they could be a franchise caliber quarterback, early on in training camp, I'd want him in there. I'd want to be giving him more reps than this, at least to the point where he'd say, hey, yeah, you know what? Come watch me. I am getting some reps. I can show you a little bit more of what I'm doing.
So, Nick, should we be reading anything into the fact? I understand it's still early, but to Lewis's point, it felt to me like early would be the time that you would see everybody a little bit. Should we be reading into the fact that Shedeur is getting this little work?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where Shedeur is such a unique draft prospect because he was so good in college and he's so famous, but he's still a fifth-round pick. Like, this happens to fifth-round picks sometimes, especially if they're not counting on you to be an impact player this season. I think oftentimes some of these guys are long shots and they want to see what they have. They're planning to put them on practice squad or something like that. None of us expected that for Shedeur, but you do have to calculate in the fact that he's a fifth-round pick. I'm shocked that he's not getting the reps at this point, though. Like, I was drafted with 2 corners drafted ahead of me in my same draft. Your opportunity will come. It's like a risk and reward situation for him. He's not getting much better right now because he's not getting the reps, but there's a situation where he is going to get plays. He has to be perfect. He has to be perfect in the 5 plays that he gets. He has to be perfect. And that's a bit of a pro and a con in that you only got to study those 4 or 5 plays you're going to get, and you better not mess them up because you're never going to get them again.
All right, we'll get back to this. Yeah. We heard from the owner of the Browns yesterday as well, and some of the things he said really raised my eyebrows as far as just what opportunity Shedeur Sanders might ever get to play in Cleveland.